Welcome to No Question About That with Daniel, enjoying United 3, Leicester 0. Routine win. Been a while.
That is literally top of my notes. A routine win against shite. It's been, I don't even know how long it's been, but it's been a while.
I mean, just so long. I mean, really simple tweaks from Ruud in these 4 games. I mean, having 2 midfielders actually in midfield helps. Having only 1 fullback go really high, as Madraoui and Dalot didn't cause too much damage today. Did miss one Leicester cross. He's had a bad start to the season, yeah. But at least he's there covering for almost all the game, and it's basically that's it. Right? It hasn't made too many tweaks other than just to be a bit more solid, and then good players do good things. But yeah, Ruud. I'm not sure whether he's staying or not. It seems like it's unlikely, doesn't it?
It's always seemed unlikely that he's not had a call or saying, "Would you like to?"
I know.
And the farewell at the end also sort of suggested that there's
a lot of waving and clapping.
And also, he's bringing about 75 coaches.
Yeah, 5.
He's going to need a coach for the coaches.
Right. Yes, I mean, it's a shame, isn't it? I mean, it was a surprise when he came back, given that he'd been a first-team manager previously. The team has performed pretty well these 4 games. Like, far from a perfect and balanced squad, far from it. Quite a few dickheads still, but he's got them playing reasonably well, right? You should beat a crap Leicester side, and United did that. And yeah, so if it's farewell it is, but it's kind of a shame. I feel like somehow that link with United and Ruud, it's just a shame to discard it. But, if Amorim's bringing his team in, it's the way these things usually are.
Yeah, I was also thinking, apart from the routine win against shite, when was the last time we scored early in a game in the league?
And didn't concede 2 seconds afterwards either. So
yeah, has that happened this season, an early goal?
No, I mean, it was the first time we'd scored 2 in the first half for God knows how long. I mean, there was some stat that came up and I can't remember. Yeah. I mean, and some nice goals as well, and some really good performances. I mean, of the players, the aforementioned Dalot did his best to let Leicester in a couple of times. Marcus Rashford had a really quiet game, an ineffective game. Everyone else thought really solid performances. Højlund, not much from him, but Bruno, excellent. Ahmad, excellent. You kind of wonder why he's barely been in the team under Ten Hag, don't you, when he can pull out that kind of performances?
Well, you
kind of came on with lots of space.
But then you wonder why Ugarte wasn't getting picked. Like, I'm wondering a lot of things about Ten Hag, and when you're wondering that many things, the things that you're wondering sort of cease to be surprising, because the conclusion is the manager doesn't really know what he's doing.
That was the conclusion of both the fans and the board. Yeah. I mean, it's been a kind of joyous 4 games, just to the relief of not having to watch this Ten Hag side and not have to feel crap about him.
It's always relieving. It's always relieving when a manager who's not up to it gets fired. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like breaking up with a girlfriend you really wish you'd broken up with some time ago. We all had those regrets, and then the sense of relief afterwards, and it's been a nice fling with Ruud, hasn't it? Until
I've never had
girlfriend
that.
Comes along.
I've never had that. No, like my first proper girlfriend. I mean, obviously had girlfriends like at school when I was younger, but my first proper girlfriend, I was 16. We got married, and she got rid of me, and then the next one, I married, and I'm still married to you. So I would say I've never really dumped anyone.
Well, there you go.
How does it feel? Do you feel powerful, Edward?
No, generally not. No.
How many girls do you think you've dumped?
A fair few.
Don Juan de Barca over here.
Something like that. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I went on a lot of kind of dates between wives where I was saying, but no, but there was no one who I would actually say was a girlfriend in that time.
Fair enough. Well, the bounce back fling with Ruud was good. And let's talk about some of the performances. I mean, Ahmad's coming to the side. He's loved by the stats nerds and the fans. I think his ability to run at players and be creative, it's sometimes hit and miss. I think it was more miss than hit when he scored 2 goals the other night. The goals kind of made up for it, didn't they? And today, no goals, but more hit than miss.
Such a wingers. that if you've got players that try stuff, and I was going to talk about this with Garnacho, and we'll come to him in a second, but if you have players that try shit, then it won't always go the way that they want it to go. And what I've enjoyed about Amad the last couple of games is I think for balance, he is having him on one side makes us better probably than being one of the other two, just because he keeps possession. He's just a different kind of player. Whereas the other two are just looking to get the ball to the goal as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I mean, Amad's the player that Sancho should have been, right? And wasn't. So now I think the question almost is, given how the new manager likes to play, one of the two behind the striker has got to be Bruno. Then you've got three going for one position. Yep.
And
unless you convert Bruno into an 8. But it doesn't feel like
you
that's
can't
his best role. Yeah,
because you're seeing I don't totally object to Bruno as an 8. I think Ten Hag playing him so deep was fucking ridiculous because we couldn't score goals.
Yeah.
Whatever else you say about Bruno, and there are people that probably now that still think he's not good, who support United, but that when you can't score goals, Bruno makes goals happen.
Yeah,
and you need him. Ole knew that, and you need him in that position as often as possible. And we've seen the difference in the last few games that he's making goals happen again. He's scoring and he's making them. I mean, the first goal was a great goal. And what I love about that, and what I've loved about Amad, to come back to him, is he's very slight, but he's not fussy. His
ability to get away from players is incredible. I mean, and it's not pace. It's his first half touch away from the opera player. I forget one of the Leicester centre-backs absolutely cleaned him out near the end of the game. And it's just because he took the ball half a yard away from the player. And I think he was like almost embarrassed, kind of looked at the ref pleading not to get a yellow. And his ability with the ball at his feet, fantastic, neat touches, the back heel for Bruno before the goal. Great. I mean, you are right. Three into one spot doesn't go. And one of them's going to miss out. And right now, it's obviously Marcus Rashford is bottom of those three because he's in horrible form and has been in horrible form for, 18 months? No goals in 8 now. We're hoping that he gets back to his best. There's no sign of it yet. And Garnacho, I mean, he got abused by a twat on TikTok in the week. And apparently that's why he didn't celebrate his goal because he feels like some of the fans aren't on his side. I think that's probably unfair because it really is just a few fans. And he's frustrating because he tries a lot of stuff and a lot of it doesn't come off. But then you get the one he's stuck in the top corner today and it's worth it, right?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean that he doesn't have things to learn.
Sure, he definitely does, yeah.
But it's not, I don't think he's not someone I look at and I think you don't know what you're doing. He's someone who makes decisions, sticks to them and backs himself.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that he won't, with time, learn to make slightly different decisions. But it's not that often I'm watching him going, I don't understand what you're doing or why you're doing it.
You want him to learn the game, make smart decisions. Amad, on the other hand, almost always makes the right decision with the ball.
What you said about the thing I'd say about Amad, my concern, I guess, is that he doesn't quite have as much pace as I'd like him to have, particularly given the lack of strength. But his ability to withstand a tackle is excellent, which we've seen twice now this week with 2 goals that he's made out of nothing.
Yeah.
And what the first one for Bruno, I mean, he wins the ball where he just doesn't have any business winning the ball, and it was a great finish from Bruno as well.
Yeah, I mean, game intelligence with Garnacho, I think. And then one of those players, it comes with experience, hopefully, right? So,
and then with Amad also, I think like the casualness of the back heel, like the presence of mind to kind of pretend like you're not really doing anything serious while knowing that actually you're setting up a shot goal like that was excellent.
Yeah.
But
Garnacho has 0.6 expected goals and assists per 90 this season, and he's third behind Yamal and I forget the other one across the top 5 leagues in Europe. Yeah, so he's like, I think if you get frustrated with a young player, really should try and understand where most young players are. Most young players aren't Lamine Yamal, right? Scoring a goal or assisting a goal a game, right? Most young players take time to. Even Cristiano Ronaldo was frustrating at 20, right? So, and I'm not saying Garnacho will become.
He was
Cristiano
frustrating
Ronaldo.
for much longer than that.
Yeah. And Nani, who scored 15 goals and assists like almost every season he was with United, was frustrating almost every bloody game. So, it's just like, it's the nature of the position of the player. You're going to try a lot of things, but I think...
And playing in a shit team.
And playing in a shit team. For sure, Garnacho's finishing does need to improve because he's below 20% conversion rate for a forward. So if you're playing under Amorim, too narrow forwards behind the main man, you do have to contribute, right? So... that's part of his game that needs to improve. But then again, he can turn inside 2 Leicester players and bang one in the top corner. So
it feels like the kind of prompting that is required from those two is Ahmad is probably the best at that of the 3.
Mm-hmm.
But Rashford also has a good eye for a pass when he's playing well.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a challenge for him because he's not going to get picked.
No, and like on form, he shouldn't be. In terms of his ceiling, we know what the ceiling is. It's just we just haven't seen it for quite a long time now. And I do wonder. I mean, it's kind of hyperbole and kind of Twitter style hyperbole to say Amorim's his last chance, but it might well be because he might look at him for the next 6 months and go, actually, you're not productive enough, and we can make some money out of you. He might do. I mean, or he might be the guy that sparks Rashford back into life and we get that player that can score 30 a season, right? Because there's no one else in the squad that scored that many in one season, right? So
no, but I guess ultimately, if it's the case that we're only going to play one winger, really, because Bruno will be the other one, we're not going to need Rashford in the same way that we have done because we're not looking to fill 2 places in the team with that kind of player.
No. I mean, it's definitely a question for him. I mean, I think in years past we might have gone, well, maybe he's the number 9 in this system, but I don't think he will be, and not in the way that Amorim seems to use his number 9 in the channels.
It seems unlikely, but at the same time, I didn't love Højlund's performance today, and I know we bitch about the service that he gets, but he probably does need to be smarter in his movement too.
Look, the thing is, you look at Højlund at Atalanta, and he moved a lot. He was a good mover, and that's one of the reasons why they bought him. And he doesn't seem to do. He seems to have unlearned it in a Ten Hag time. And because look at Carrez at Sporting, he moves a lot, right? And the reason why Garnacho gets so many shots off is because he's moving into the space to get the ball to get the shots off, right? So I think it's a fair criticism of Højlund that he needs, there's parts of the game that need to improve. He's an efficient finisher, though. When he gets the chance, he just doesn't get many chances and doesn't create many for himself. So
yeah, I mean, Garnacho's movement, if you look at the 3rd goal, Garnacho's movement for that is good. Like, it's not straightforward. He moves inside, then he moves outside. It's quite funny because Xerxes almost sort of chugs in the way of the pass.
Yeah.
I mean, he played quite nicely when he came on. And again, like, I'd like him to be a bit more athletic, but I don't look at him and think you're a donkey, you can't play football.
The Stretford End chanting if Xerxes scores were on the pitch.
That, I didn't like that.
Feels a bit unfair, that, doesn't it?
I mean, I think that, it's not like he's played loads and loads of games and he's been in a team that hasn't scored. He's been in and out. Yeah, I thought that was quite
too
weird.
Early.
That felt like sort of Twitter turning up in Old Trafford.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's true, though. I do think the online convo has seeped into Old Trafford more than it ever has previously. I don't like that. I definitely don't like fan cam people like abusing players. Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you hoping to achieve here? Do you think you're going to make them play better by abusing them in person? Or manipulative videos, as we saw from one other twat who used to work with the main twat in the mix zone, pretending he's a journalist, and then I didn't like that at all. Anyway, that's changing the subject somewhat. The second goal, I guess it's probably not been credited to Bruno because he completely missed his header and it came off his knee.
He didn't score it, I would say. Yes,
a ridiculous attempt at a header, but at least it got in there. Third goal. I mean,
so sorry, just to go back to the second goal a second. So what I like, what the second goal again, like if Bruno's playing as a number 8, he can't make that run.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he's not up with the play in that kind of way, I don't think. And I think the other thing was a great cross from Mazraoui, who is so much better than Tallow.
So much better.
And actually, maybe he could be the left wing back in that he can play that side.
First half, he was very, very high, wasn't he? Like first half, before he switched over to the right. He was basically playing as a wing back with Dalot deep.
And his ability, and he can play with both feet, so he can play those balls around the corner with his right foot from that side. But if he needs to, he can also give you a bit more natural width.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, he could play on either side, but I think that he might be the one who plays on the left for the time being.
Yeah,
and I mean,
he's back in training, so maybe he's ready. We'll see.
I mean, he's just the thing. What I like about Mazraoui is he's just a complete footballer.
Yeah,
that he's got great awareness. He's got good first touch. He's got good feet in tight spaces. He can cross. He can pass, and he can play a couple of positions. So, yeah, an excellent acquisition, and is getting better. Likewise, Garte.
Garte's best game for the club. I mean, I think the criticism of him, the fair criticism, is that his passing range is fairly average, but he actually pulled off a couple of really good passes today. He's safe with his passing, and he's as an all-round defensive midfielder. I think he'll probably prove to be really well. I mean, the defensive side of his game is much better than the creative, progressive side of his game, for sure, which will be the criticism, and which will be at some point the question mark for the committee in charge of transfers to decide, is he the guy that will take United from 4th to 1st? But going from 13th to 4th...
Hang on, we got a bit of a jump first.
13th to 4th, he's definitely good enough.
And so he's someone who I thought, like, long-term is kind of player that you might play in big games and would have an impact on big games because that kind of like mousing quality that he has.
Yeah.
But it was mental to judge him at the beginning, even though he's not someone I would have signed. He's not someone, it wasn't exactly what I wanted, but I don't think he's useless. And not picking him, for Ten Hag's not picking him when you don't have anyone else was batshit. It was absolutely batshit behaviour.
It was, and that's why he's picked up his P45. One of the many reasons. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was Duarte's best game for the club.
Yeah, it was. And again, like, he's not playing anyone good, but we've struggled to not beat these crap teams.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you have someone that can do a job in those games, that is helpful.
It is. Very little for Onana to do. He's got the biggest XG differential of any goalkeeper in the Premier League this season. So
he's been good this season. He's made a couple of mistakes early on where I felt like, not dreadful ones. I can't try and remember what goal it was, where you kind of thinking it's another low one that's got in. Could you have saved that? But I can't remember who it was against. But that one aside, in general, I think it was maybe Tottenham. In general, he's actually, he's been solid. I'd still like to see more of the passing that he was bought for, a lot more of it. Mm-hmm. But in terms of not dropping colossal bollocks, he is much improved.
He is much improved, yes. The passing still seems to go very long. And I can't imagine Amorim's sporting side are quite direct, but it's not in a boot it long kind of way. It's in a make positive passes kind of way. So we'll see what happens with Onana on the playing football out from the back thing. But yeah, not dropping the bollocks is definitely a help. And same with the centre-backs today. Like De Ligt and Martinez, no mistakes. There was one big chance for Leicester, right? One.
When
Onana got in the way of.
Yeah, someone runs off Dalot. It runs off Ugarte and Dalot's ball watching that one. Yeah. And
that one, yeah.
Yeah, and he was out really quickly. And by the time the player actually went to take the shot, it wasn't that much of a chance.
That's right.
Because he was so close to him that unless it goes through his legs, you're not really going to score from there.
Very good. Can we talk about Leicester City fans booing Johnny Evans? What the fuck?
I mean, I guess at this point it's a football match, so anything goes. But I was actually thinking about Evans. He's probably a top 5 post-Fergie purchase. in the. I mean, it's fucking mad, isn't it?
Deary me.
That he's been good pretty much every time he's played and hasn't embarrassed himself or us.
Like ever, really. Yeah. Yeah. A top 5 post-Fergie for deary me.
I mean, it's not a crowded field.
No, it's not. At one point, I was sad enough to I've probably got it. I had a Google Doc of all the post-Fergie purchases, and I had a rating for all of them. And great green, amber, green, amber, red type scoring, and like 90% of them were red. I don't think that's hyperbole either. Like, there's just been
the good ones. Bruno,
shocking list of Bruno,
Zlatan.
Yep,
and I think that's probably it.
Yeah, and the others have question marks against them. Like, has anyone been unquestionably a good purchase?
Evans.
Right? So even Martinez his form fell off first half of the season. A lot of injuries.
We are talking about maybe 5 games ultimately.
Yeah,
it's just he missed a lot of games. So
missed a lot of games. Yeah.
Varane maybe at a push.
Yeah, missed a lot of games too. That's the reason why
didn't play that often. Yeah.
It's not a crowded field for sure. So all right. Amorim starts Monday, right? He's going to have about half a squad.
More than you might expect he would have at a club of this level. Like no United player in the England squad.
Yeah, amazing. Well, not amazing.
Well, sort of amazing.
Sort of amazing, but then again, not amazing. Yeah,
amazing in like I am amazed that this could possibly be the case, but also like amazing in that
it.
Quite good. Good. I don't want them doing that.
Yeah.
And I guess the hope will then be that Euro is ready to actually, because if he's got now 2 weeks to drill his system, then if you've got Euro, is the lift been picked for Holland?
I don't know. I assume so because he was in the last squad. I know he got dropped for the September window, but I think he was back in the October window. So I imagine he's in the squad.
Okay, so because it'd be good if he wasn't going either, and then you pull Martinez out with injury.
Yeah. He looked like he was down a couple of times, so I'm sure there's good excuse there. Euro's training, Lassia's training, Shaw's training, so he's going to have about half the squad there. It's unfortunate, but just what it is, I guess. What's the to-do list, though? I mean, if you're Amorim, you're coming in, you're checking out these players, you're going to watch a lot of videos. Hopefully you have some kind of coaching link. So I don't know what's happening with both Ruud, Rani Hake, the set-piece coach, Swedish guy whose name I'm forgetting for the minute, and goalkeeping coach whose name I've never been able to remember. Like you got to have some kind of link with the past, right, to understand what has happened, right, for some period. But he's going to need results quite quickly. United are actually only 4 points off the top 4. Believe it or not.
The top 4 is gettable. Like it's
gettable.
The problem obviously is that three of those places really are gone.
Yeah,
that Liverpool City and Arsenal. But other than that, I'm just looking at the league table now. Yeah, we've got 15 points, and Arsenal, Chelsea, Forest have got 19, and Brighton. That is very doable.
5 points then. Yeah, it's doable. Absolutely. I mean, so if you were Amorim, do you come in and like go with your 3-4-3 straight away?
Yes.
Or
yeah.
You just go like
because otherwise you get stuck with it. Like, so let's say you play 4-3-3, and as we would normally, and it goes okay. When are you changing it?
Yeah,
you're stuck. You're going to change it in the summer. It feels like we're not writing off this season.
No, you can't.
But he's got to have scope to inculcate the way he wants to play.
I think that's fair. When Conte came in at Chelsea, he started with a back 4, and I can't remember the game they got battered. Was it against Arsenal?
And there's an international break, and he makes out like they have this whole big think about doing what he always does and always wanted to do.
Yeah.
But the ability to coach that during a season where they win, and then they'll win about like 15 games in a row or something, where they basically secure the league title immediately that run of games. But again, it's international week, I think.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So we'll see after the international break, like who's available, who's fit. Does he go straight in with? I don't think Maguire's back for a while, right? So
never mind.
Which will leave him with Evans, Lindelof, Martinez, De Ligt and maybe Euro's your options, though Euro's had obviously 0 minutes as your back three. And then maybe Shaw's fit. Who knows? Maybe. Like, what game is it straight away after the international break? It's Ipswich away.
Ipswich away, yeah.
Ipswich away, right. All right. Did they, at time of recording, the last I saw it was 2-1 to Ipswich.
Yeah, they beat Tottenham.
They beat Tottenham.
Tottenham are basically, almost as shit as we are. And Tottenham have got 16 points and a 10th. Yeah, have beaten City, knocked City out of the League Cup. I mean, the thing with them is that they do have enough good players to produce good performances, but they don't have enough good players to play the way they're trying to play, I would say.
Spurs, yeah. And it's quite thin, that squad. So you go outside the first 13 or 14 players, and then there's not a lot. They're into younger players, aren't they? All right, so Amorim arrives, plays 3-4-3 straight away. What's your first 11 if you were picking?
My first, I mean, I would, if I think Euro's fit to play, I'm picking him. So I'm going on Nana, Euro, De Ligt, Martinez. It depends who else is fit, but I guess we don't really have options at wing back, particularly. So Dalot, if Mainoo's fit, I'm picking him. I'm taking risks at this point. If I think the players are fit, I'm not worrying about match fitness. I'm just getting them in the team because I don't want aggravation and trying to get them into the team later on. So I'm going Dalot, Mainoo, Ugarte, Mazraoui, Ahmad, Bruno, Højlund. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, if everyone's fit, I would probably go with Shaw.
Oh, Shaw's fit.
Yeah.
He won't be. Come on.
No. I mean, who knows? God knows, so you can rely on him. Tyrell Malacia, there's a bunch of pictures posted of him. He's clearly been in the gym these past 2 years. He's been injured because his thighs were man has been pushing some weights. Yeah, don't know whether it will do him any good. The only worry I have with a sort of Dalot, Mainoo, Ugarte, Mazraoui midfield 4 is its ability to get the ball into those forward areas. So you don't want Bruno having to drop deep in that front 3 in order to get the ball, to progress the ball. So none of them there are real ball progressors. But that's just our squad, right? There isn't a build-up person in there. No Tony Cruz.
Well, I mean, Ugarte, he can pass. He's not going to pass through the lines too much, but he can get the ball to a better player.
Yeah, and then Mainoo has to be that linking player.
Yeah, is a good ball carrier, and I think that he can. His passing, there's more in his passing than we've seen.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I'm about on the same page. I do wonder if that front 3 pacey enough. I mean, Højlund's got some pace. He's not lightning quick.
I think he's someone who, if you've got 20 yards, good luck. But you don't often have 20 yards.
Yeah.
He's really good at getting in front of defenders and holding them off because he's fast and strong. But yeah, he's not explosive over 3 yards like Andy Cole say.
No. He's definitely not. Yeah. So those would be my concerns. The wing back areas, can you progress the ball from midfield and are we quick enough up front? At the back, I'm less concerned, really. I think I don't think it'll
take much. You got safety in numbers.
Yeah, and I don't think it'll take much for them to adjust. So I actually think if you're playing Euro and Martinez as the 2 wider defenders, they're both comfortable in wide areas. So I think they are perfectly suited for that system.
I think in an ideal world, we've got someone else playing left centre back and Martinez in the middle.
Yeah, we don't have that yet. But I wonder if there's money in the kitty to ask Everton for.
I said this last week.
Branthwaite,
Branthwaite is he's the obvious solution for that hole. He's been injured himself, but massive.
Well, and they won't play him because he won't sign a contract. So yeah. I wonder whether they take a little bit.
I mean, his passing,
he's contracted for a while.
His passing is quite simple, but that's why Martinez is there, really.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of someone you'd be comfortable if they were isolated out wide, definitely.
Yeah. We didn't really talk about the third goal, did we? The rondos out of the back, and then that just ridiculous ball from Christian Eriksen, where I don't know how he sees the pass, but he took out 5 Leicester players with that pass around the corner.
Well, that's one of the things people are into. You don't hear too, it is packing, they call it. And you can measure who's likely to win a game or by how many players get taken out of the game with passes. And that was one of those. I mean, I think what Eriksen is and Garnacho, they're players who are very handy to bring on late on, because once other team are tired, then spaces start to appear. And you've got someone like Garnacho that can attack them with pace, but someone like Eriksen who can attack them with passing, with intelligence.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's right. That goal demonstrated that in kind of one go. Garnacho's ability, especially in big spaces, is outstanding. And obviously he tries stuff, and his ceiling is high enough that enough of it comes off. I mean, I don't necessarily think that Garnacho goal's about him coming on as a sub. Really, it's not about tiredness of the Leicester players. It's about him spanking one into the top corners from 20 yards. But also, he's extremely useful in those kind of game states for sure. Yeah, both of them.
So, I mean, I'm really interested to see how Amorim works with the younger players as well.
Yeah.
That in theory, we should see big improvements, because that's what he's been doing at Sporting.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a very different club, but he's come in a similar-ish scenario where Sporting hadn't won the title for 19 years. They're players that went on strike after their fans attacked them in the training ground. Half of the squad left on a free transfer, and he's come in an awful situation and turned them around and won 2 titles and played a lot of younger players. So you can, with an attractive style of football, very specific systems style of football, but you can see why the United hierarchy were attracted to that, right?
And he's bought young players and improved them.
Yeah.
And
not being afraid to do that either.
Yeah, so, and he's held in high regard, in high demand. So he's got the political capital, I would say, to do what he wants at the beginning.
For this season, it's a free hit for him. I mean, it's not to say I think the season's a write-off for United, because it definitely isn't, given that the top sort of 8 are taking points off each other.
We're still in the League Cup. We're not far off the top 4. We've got the Europa League. Yeah,
FA Cup to come, right?
Yeah,
there's stuff to chase. Yeah, absolutely. But yes, he has a free hit to try a lot of stuff this season, and he's got the charisma as well, I think, to take people along with him. I mean, I know we've made a lot of this because Ten Hag was so fucking technocratic and boring, but I think the fact that he can take dickheads coming over from Sky Sports and abusing him in press conferences and take it with a smile and a laugh says something. And I mean, same with Ruud, to be honest. I think he's held himself very well this past 2 weeks. He's straightforward in his dealings with the media.
If he finds that it's too troubling to hold himself.
Give him a hug, will you? Yeah.
For real.
Yeah. Looks like a horse, hung like a horse. Got the charisma of a derby winner. Yeah. Oh. Deary me. All right. Well, international week. So I guess the usual, let's hope no one gets injured. Let's hope they all pull out injured to start with.
Martinez looked to have a few knocks today.
He really did.
I'd be holding him back if I could, I think.
Yeah, there shouldn't be too many going on long trips. Ugarte will be with Uruguay this week, I assume. Casemiro's not been in the Brazil squad, which is great. Martinez hopefully injured. Yep. I don't know what Onana's doing. Are there AFCON qualifiers, World Cup qualifiers? I don't actually know. So, and then quite a few with the Euros, or the Nations League, sorry, isn't it? So the last Nations League round.
Who can say?
What a pointless competition. Well, I guess that's it. We've run out of things to say, Daniel. What else is going on?
I'm still alive. No one's slit my throat as yet, so pleased about that.
That's always a bonus. Yeah. Were people threatening to do that?
Well, there was the woman in the car, but other than her, not too many.
Sometimes you bring it on yourself, Daniel. So it's like,
always.
Yeah. I have not been deported yet. I obviously, being a foreigner in a in a, not in Blighty. I'm, mindful of 80 something million people wanting that to happen. So I will probably not go out with, by the way, Columbia Centenary shirt. My wife doesn't understand why I collect football shirts, but I have a lot of them. And this is a really lovely piece of kit for those of you watching on YouTube.
I've never met your wife, but my sense would be that collecting football shirts is probably easier to grasp than many things she might do.
Yeah. Well, you've all got to have your hobbies, right? She has, we've been married for 14 years and together for longer than that. And
what do you mean? You didn't just meet her? You didn't just marry her after when you met on the day that you met?
I did not. I did not order her flight to Amazon or anything like that. She has paid absolutely zero interest to my football addiction. None whatsoever. So,
what are her hobbies?
Art, knitting, sewing, jigsaw puzzles, that kind of thing. Cool. She ran a sewing shop for a decade in London. So,
when we used to do textiles at school. Did you do that?
Textiles,
yeah. So when I was at school, the national you had to do technology subjects. We do like CDT, D&T, all this kind of stuff. I was shit at all of them. And so in textiles, we had this South African teacher, and she goes, "I'm sorry to have to tell you, Daniel, you will never be able to sew in a million years." I said, "I think I can cope."
Yeah, exactly. No, I can't sew. So there you go. She's not interested in football, and I can't sew a button on a shirt. I think that's fair dues.
Yeah, I mean, I did used to we did learn how to use a sewing machine, but I don't think I could load one up now. What's it called? The bobbin you have to do.
Bobbin, the foot.
Yeah,
the bobbin and the foot, something like that.
So you have a sewing machine at home, I guess.
Yeah, we got a lot. I mean, we had a sewing shop. So
yeah, that's cool.
Yes, it was cooler than didn't make us millions, but it was a nice space for the community. So
most things don't.
Sadly not. All right. Well, if you'd like to help me and Daniel and the rest of the crew make millions out of podcasting, you can go to patreon.com, NQAT Pod, and back us there. We do a tactics show and an extra show. Last week, we looked at Sporting 4, City 1, and Donald Trump and the World Cup 2026, which is going to be an interesting thing to talk about for the next couple of years.
Do you think it's possible that will end up not happening in America?
No, it'll definitely happen in America. I mean, Gianni Infantino hasn't met an autocrat he doesn't love. So, of course, it's going to,
What a state of affairs, man.
What a state of affairs, yeah. I will pack my bag and head up to Canada if I have to.
Have you got a blue bracelet?
I don't. All right. We'll leave it there. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening or watching wherever you find us. And we'll catch you at some point during the international break. We'll probably drop into YouTube with some dailies. Bye, Daniel. Have a good one.
Sarah.